I once had a full-blown panic attack in a grocery store because I couldn't decide what to make for dinner. That wasn't just a bad date, was my breaking point. For what felt like years, a nasty cycle of stress and anxiety had been quietly sabotaging my life. It was like a silent poison messing with my career, my relationships, and any shot I had at peace of mind. I felt completely trapped and powerless against my own emotions. Did you know that the way you handle your emotions can directly impact not just your mood, but your physical health and your entire quality of life? It turns out that getting a handle on your feelings is linked to better health all around, while letting them run wild can crank up your stress and just make life harder. I was living proof of the second option. So, I decided to do something pretty drastic, a 30-day emotional mastery challenge. In this video, I'm not just going to tell you what happened. I'm going to show you the incredible change and the practical, science-backed tools that actually worked. Before this whole experiment, my life ran on a constant, low-grade hum of anxiety. It was my shadow, following me from the second I woke up to the moment I finally fell into a restless sleep. My heart would pound at the sound of a new email. I'd snap at the people I loved over nothing. I was just living in a reactive state, like a passenger in my own body, getting thrown around by every little thing that happened. Professionally, I was a mess. I would put off huge tasks, not because I was lazy, but because I was paralyzed by the fear of not doing them perfectly. My focus was shot. I'd just sit at my desk, staring at a screen, my mind a tornado of worst-case scenarios and negative self-talk. Being on high alert all the time was exhausting. It felt like running a marathon every single day without moving an inch. My body was paying the price. I had constant tension, headaches. My stomach was always in knots, and I was just so tired. My relationships were feeling the strain. It's tough to be present, loving, and patient when you feel like you're fighting a war inside your own head. I'd read into comments, assume the worst, and basically start fires where there was no smoke. I was emotionally checked out because I was drowning in my own chaos. The lack of control was terrifying. It felt like my feelings were my biggest enemy, and they were definitely winning. This wasn't just a phase. It was a pattern that was costing me my happiness and my health. That grocery store meltdown was the last straw. Just standing there, frozen over a decision as simple as chicken or fish, I felt that familiar tightness in my chest. My breathing got shallow. The fluorescent lights felt way too bright, and the noise of the store turned into a deafening roar. I had to ditch my cart and just bolt, feeling this deep sense of shame. How did I let it get this bad? That night, I knew something had to fundamentally change. I wasn't looking for a quick fix or another distraction. I needed to rebuild my relationship with my own emotions from the ground up. A 30-day challenge felt right because it was concrete and didn't feel endless. I've read that short-term goals are easier to stick with because the finish line always feels close. It gave me a framework. My goal was simple. For 30 days, I would learn and actually use proven techniques for emotional regulation. No more being a victim to my feelings. It was time to learn how to work with them. My challenge was built on 4 simple, but powerful, daily habits. I committed to these every single day, and they were all based on effective, research-backed methods. First up, mindfulness. This was my foundation. And it's not about emptying your mind, it's about paying attention to right now, without judging it. The science is solid on this. Studies show just 10 minutes of daily mindfulness can seriously boost well-being and cut down on anxiety and depression. So, every morning, before touching my phone, I'd sit for 10 minutes and just focus on my breath. I'd notice thoughts come and go, kind of like clouds, without getting swept up by them. This one practice started to create a tiny but vital gap between a trigger and my reaction. Second, strategic breathing. This became my emergency toolkit. I learned you can literally change how you feel in minutes just by using your breath. The best technique I found was cyclic sighing. Incredible research from Stanford Medicine found that just 5 minutes of this a day can lower anxiety and lift your mood, in some cases even more effectively than other breathing exercises. It's simple. You take a big inhale through your nose, and then, before you exhale, you sneak in one more short inhale to totally fill your lungs. Then, you let it all out with a long, slow exhale through your mouth. The first time I did this after a stressful work call, the immediate calm was unreal. It was like hitting a reset button on my nervous system. Third, cognitive reappraisal. I know, it sounds complicated, but it just means changing the story you tell yourself about something to change how you feel about it. So, instead of seeing a critical email and thinking, "I'm terrible at my job," I'd practice reframing it. I'd tell myself, "This is feedback that will help me get better," or "That person is probably just having a stressful day. It's not about me." This is a huge tool for building resilience, because it literally retrains your brain to find more empowering ways to see things. Finally, end-of-day journaling. Every night, I took 5 minutes to write down one moment where I felt emotionally triggered and how I dealt with it. Then, I'd write down 3 things I was grateful for. This was huge for spotting my own emotional patterns and forced me to focus on the good stuff. 2. These 4 habits: mindfulness, cyclic sighing, cognitive reappraisal, and journaling were the pillars of my challenge. They were my daily emotional workout. This was not a smooth, straight line to inner peace. The first week was tough. Some days, I felt like a total fraud. I'd do my morning mindfulness, feel great, and then completely lose my cool in traffic an hour later. There were moments of serious doubt, where that old, familiar anxiety would creep back in and whisper, "See, this isn't working." A huge setback hit me around day 12. I got some unexpected, high-stakes feedback at work, and it sent me right back into my old panic spiral. My heart was pounding, and my first instinct was to just shut down. I completely forgot about all my new tools. It took me a full hour to even remember to try a breathing exercise. It felt like a failure. But here's the thing, it wasn't a total failure. In the past, that one event would have wrecked my entire day, maybe even my week. This time, after the storm hit, I actually managed to get back on my feet. I sat down and did cyclic sighing for 5 minutes straight. The panic didn't just disappear, but it calmed down enough for me to handle it. That night, I journaled about it, not with judgment, but with curiosity. This was the messy middle, and it's where the real growth happens. The small wins were what kept me going. Around day 7, I handled a tech issue that would normally make me furious with actual patience. Around day 18, I had a tough conversation with a family member and managed to listen and respond with thought, instead of getting defensive. Every tiny victory was proof that my brain was slowly but surely rewiring itself. Seeing that progress, no matter how small, gave me the fuel I needed to see it through. By day 30, the difference was night and day. It's not that I got rid of all negative emotions, that's impossible and, frankly, not the point. Emotional mastery isn't about feeling nothing. It's about feeling everything without letting it control you. That constant, frantic buzz of anxiety was gone, replaced by a quiet, steady sense of self. The biggest change was my ability to respond instead of just reacting. I could now feel that first spark of anger or anxiety, but instead of it immediately turning into a wildfire, I could just observe it. That little bit of space I'd built with my daily mindfulness gave me the power to choose what to do next. At work, my focus and productivity went through the roof. With less mental energy being burned up by worry, I could pour it into my actual tasks. I got more creative and was a better problem solver. My relationships got so much better because I was more present, patient, and empathetic. I was no longer a slave to my emotional triggers. About a week after the challenge ended, I found myself back in that same grocery store. It was crowded, the lines were longer, perfect storm for the old me. But this time, I just felt calm. I got what I needed, navigated the chaos, and felt this deep sense of peace. In that boring, everyday moment, I realized just how much had changed. I had taken back control. I had built an inner stability that no amount of external chaos could icily shake. My journey showed me that real, meaningful change is possible if you just practice consistently. These aren't magic tricks, they're skills. And just like any skill, they get stronger the more you use them. Have you tried any of these techniques, like mindfulness or specific breathing exercises? What was your experience? Share your story in the comments below. I read every single one, and you never know who you might inspire. This 30-day journey taught me that we aren't broken, and our feelings aren't our enemies. They're just signals, messengers trying to tell us something. For years, I was trying to shoot the messenger. Now, I've learned to actually listen to the message and use it to move through life with a bit more grace and wisdom. This transformation wasn't about becoming some perfect, emotionless robot. It was about becoming a more resilient, self-aware, and empowered human being. It's about having the right tools in your back pocket, so that when life inevitably throws a punch, you can stay on your feet. Change is possible one breath, one thought, and one day at a time.